Hi, I'm back with another video. This is Authentically Tiffany. And before I get into this next video, I want to say thank you to everyone who has watched my videos and who has reached out to me in support of my videos and my story here. And especially my family. I was not prepared for the response that I have received from you guys. And I was not expecting my family from both sides to reach out to me and show me love and support. I'm very appreciative of that, and I want to say thank you and that I love you all. I truly do. I am not used to getting that type of response. Growing up, whenever I spoke how I felt and the things that happened to me or things that were happening to me, it was always received as I'm not telling the truth, or it was always down. My feelings were always downplayed, and nothing I said ever mattered. So the response that I have received thus far with these videos is very appreciated, and I love you all. Thank you. That's why I wanted to start this video off with. This video is, I'll be talking more about my mother. I know I left off on the last video with her starting to date, so I'll get into this video with that. My mother started to date again, and we, were around, 16 years old or so. My younger sister was 15. She's a year behind us, so she started to bring around these men that we didn't necessarily like. And, as I stated previously, they were white, and we just didn't like them because of some of the comments that they made towards race and stuff like that. So we didn't like it, so we didn't like them. My mom, we just didn't like the way she started to become when she started to see these men. At one point, she was seeing a man, a white man that was married, and his wife was dying, and she lived in the house with him in the hospital bed. They brought the hospital bed in the home, and I remember my mom telling me this. And she would go see him at the house while his wife was dying of cancer, sick in the next room, in the bed, in that hospital bed. I remember asking her, what? And she had this laugh and this smirk on her face. And I remember being very angry. I don't even think I looked at her the same way after that. If I didn't like her before, I sure as hell didn't like her right now at that very moment. And I was angry. And that lasted a little while, because of course none of those men really wanted to build anything with my mother. It was all temporary. The next guy she started to date, which is the guy she did date for about 6 or 7 years, I can't remember. But when she started to date him, we were 16. And we did not like him because he used to work with my father for years. So when we found out that it was him that she was dating, that made us very, very angry. We automatically didn't like him. As teenagers, we have these feelings, and I knew I just didn't. I didn't like him. I thought it was disrespectful. And, because at one point in time, I think my mom, dad, and him worked together in the same office. And so, I don't know, it's just very disrespectful to me. At this point, my mom and this guy work together at a different office now. And I guess this is when they started to date. My father popped back in our lives too. And we were very happy about that. We started to go to his place like every other weekend or something like that. And, we told him about my mother and the guy that she was seeing, and he was kind of surprised too. He was just like, taken aback by it as well. We expressed to him how we didn't like him. At this age, my mom started to go out with this guy and not be around a lot. So sometimes she wouldn't come home. She would call the house and tell us that she wasn't going to be home. And this started happening like maybe 2 to 3 times a week, maybe sometimes even 4. And like I stated previously in the last videos, we grew up very strict, so we had certain rules and stuff in the house that we would abide by, and we would be obedient to our parents. So we listened to these rules. So even when my mom wouldn't come home on certain days, we would still be doing what we had to do in the house, and we wouldn't leave the house. We would be in the house. She would tell us things that we needed to do, and we did it. As time went on, we're teenagers, so we do what teenagers do. And when teenagers are not supervised, they usually just get themselves into trouble, right? So this is basically what we started to do. We started to think, well, why are we staying at home? Why are we doing all this stuff in the house that she wants us to do, and she's not even here to even care if we're doing it? So we started, inviting friends over to the house. We would invite our friends over, and they wouldn't be inside the house, but they would be outside the house, and we'd be hanging outside, all in the stairwell, because we lived in apartments, and so we'd be hanging outside. And we had a neighbor who was a single dad, and he had a son. I remember him, and he was really nice, but he would come home and he would see all these people outside the house, and we were out there all hours of the night. Like, we literally would be out there past midnight and stuff, and we had school the next day. So I remember my mom coming home one day, one of the days that she decided to come home. She came home one day, and the neighbor caught her outside, and they were talking. You ain't got to be a rocket scientist to know what he was telling her. So I already knew what he was saying to her. He was telling her about the people that we had at the house. So she comes back in the house and she's mad at us, and of course she gets the belt, and she starts to beat us again with this belt. So my mom started to bring the guy that we didn't like over to our house instead of going to his house a lot. Since she found out that we were doing that, she started to bring him to the house, which we hated because we didn't like him. So, and we didn't want to speak to him. We didn't want to see him. We didn't like him first because, okay, he knew my father. Like I said, it was disrespect. And then number 2, he just had this weird vibe. He would always look at us a weird kind of way, and you know what type of way I'm talking about. He would look at us and make smart remarks, sometimes sexual remarks, and we would be upset about it. And there was one instance, my sister was sitting down one day, and she had her back, I guess the back of her shirt was up, and her back was showing, and it may have been her underwear that was showing out of her, her jeans or whatever, but my mom's boyfriend at the time went by and touched her underwear and said, he sees her underwear or something like that. That pissed my sister off, so she went and told my uncle. My uncle was a police officer at the time, and he must have let him have it at that point. My uncle doesn't play when it comes to us and stuff like that. So, of course, he talked to my mom about it and talked to him about it. And, my mom played it off or said it was nothing. We were making a big deal out of nothing. At this point in time, my sisters and I tried our best to stay away from the house as much as possible. So we would, spend the night at our friend's house all the time. We had 2 really good friends that we came up with, and we would be at their house. If we weren't at one's house one week, we were at the other person's house the next week. We barely was at the house, and if we did have to go back home, it was just to get like a change of clothes or something like that. But we would always be away from the house because we didn't want to be there with her. It was constant arguing, constant fighting, constant bickering all day long with her. It was never not any drama. And this is how my life has been growing up, just drama, full of chaos, all surrounding her. And so we tried our best to stay away. I remember the very last time my mom used the belt on us. It was a time where my sister, she had told my sister to do the dishes one day, and my sister didn't want. This is a story that was told to me by my sister, first of all. I remember being there. I just didn't know what happened. I remember seeing the beating, but I just didn't know what happened and why she got the beating. The story that she's told me was that, my mom had told her to do the dishes, and she had, I guess, had an attitude. She said that my mom thought she had an attitude. And she went to go do the dishes. When she was doing the dishes, my mom, of course. So let me tell you, let me give you a little color about my mom. When she wants to tell you what to do, she wants to see. At that point in our age, she was wanting to see if we were going to combat her. So when she would tell us what to do and we would do it, she would literally stand and watch you and figure out something to say to you while you're doing something. My sister's in the kitchen washing dishes, and my mom comes and she's watching her, staring at her, and then she tells her to spit the gum out. My sister, of course, says she ain't spitting the gum out. So my mom gets the belt and she goes to beat her in the kitchen for not spitting the gum out. Now, what I remember, I just hear fighting. So I walk out, I run out into the living room, and my sister and my mom are going at it. This is not belt, this is like hands, fists, and they're literally fighting on this floor. And my sister has my mom on the floor, and I'm like, I don't even know what to do at this point. I'm yelling, stop. And my sister, I don't know what happened, but my mom gets up. Then she calls my dad, and she's literally saying, "Get her out of here! Like, get her out the house. She can't stay here." So I remember my dad coming to get my sister. She leaves, and my mom is like pissed at me and my other sister, and we didn't do nothing. But of course, one gets in trouble. Now she hates everybody. So that was the last time, because I remember, when my dad brought my sister back, my dad told my mom that if he ever pulled the belt out on us again, that he's calling the police. He just basically told her we're too old to be getting, beat with the belt. And if she did it again, he was gonna call the police, and she never did after that. She started to instead of the belt, it was more physical with her hands. But then she would just put us on punishment. She would just ground us, and we couldn't do anything. There was one instance as well, because I can't always put this on, my sister as well. There was an instance with myself, and I had a physical altercation with my mom as well. I can't remember all of what happened. All I know is that she did put her hands on me from behind. As I'm walking to the bathroom, I'm walking to the bathroom. I don't know if she grabs me or by my hair or what it is. But I know I just I slammed her up against the wall, and that was the only physical altercation I had with my mom. It took a lot for me to do that, because I'm more of I want to respect you, but you're going to hear me too. I didn't want to, in a different way, I didn't want to put my hands on her, even though I wanted to. I just knew it wasn't right to do that. But even though I did that, she got upset. And so we all got into it. And she literally was saying, you know what, she's done. She's done taking care of us. She did her time. She didn't want she's had enough. That we need to go. Our dad needs to take care of us now. She's done with us. She's just done with kids, and that's basically her word. She was like, she's done with kids. She's done raising kids. She's done. She did her time already. So she wanted us to go with our dad, and we were like, we want to go with our dad. Like, call him now. Like, we want to go live with our dad. We're done living with you. So we packed up our stuff, and she called her boyfriend. And he came over, and we put all our stuff in the car, and he drove us with her in the car. He drove us to our dad's house, and he dropped us off. We told our dad everything, and he had a talk with us. And a couple days later, he dropped us back off at our mom's house. Ultimately, it was going to be a lot for him, and with 3 girls, and all the responsibilities that come with it, the switching of schools, all that stuff. And he gave us a couple days away from her, and then ultimately we just went back. And to be honest, it was upsetting for me at the time, because I didn't want to go back, and I just felt like my dad didn't want to take care of us. But I look back now, and I know that wasn't the case. But at the time, that's what I felt. I felt like he just didn't want to do this. He didn't want us either. So he was just giving us back, and it made me angry because of the feeling that I knew my mom would have when we walked back through the door. I knew she was going to be like, let's see, like, your dad doesn't want you, or he doesn't want to take care of you either, so now you're right back here. And I knew that was the case with her. So I think that was what I was most angry about as well. I think what really made, not just me, but all of my sisters, we were very upset because my mom, when she started seeing this guy, it had been maybe a year or so later now, and they're still dating, and she always tried to tell us, look what he's doing for you guys. He does more for you than your real father does. And when I'm saying more for you, I'm talking about money, financial. This is her mind frame. He does more for you than what your father does, and you should be calling him dad. Do you want to call him dad? Now, I think this was a turning point for all of us, and especially me, because everything that I've always wanted to say, I kept in fear of her and her response and her reaction. But we drew the line there. Like, when she wanted us to call him dad and to treat him like a father, and to when these stupid little holidays come up, these Father Day stuff, and to call, say Happy Father's Day and do all, we would tell her, like, no, he is not our father. No one will ever replace my father. And I don't think she truly gets it, not even to this day. Like, she truly doesn't get it. Like, from a child's point of view, and I'm telling you right now, as a daughter, as a girl, as a woman, we will always love our father, no matter what. I don't care what he did or what he hasn't done. I will always love my father, no matter what. And this is what she didn't get. Every time we talked about her dad or brought him up, she had this weird, nasty face on her face. Like she didn't want to hear it. That is so wrong, because that's my father. I don't care what type of relationship she has with him or does not have anymore, the hate that she holds for him, that is her business. That is her doing. It is not mine. I don't care if you decided to marry some guy and have 3 kids and now you hate him and now you want us to hate him. No, that's not ever going to happen. Ever going to happen. I love my father to death. Nobody's ever going to replace my father just because you want him replaced. It's not going to happen. And I get very passionate about this stuff. I'm not yelling, because a lot of people think I yell when I'm very passionate when I speak, because I feel it. This is what I feel. And she has wanted us to replace our father for years. For years and years and years. And I say that because she does it with this person that she's married to right now. She does that with us. She wants this person to be our father and our dad. And I don't care what man has been there for us. I don't care. I love my biological father. I love him to death, regardless of how broken he is, regardless of all the mistakes that he's made. I love him. Nobody will be him. And I just want to say to all of those who have experienced coming from a household where it is a divorced household, where you're living with one parent and that parent absolutely hates the other parent and looks at you a certain type of way and treats you a certain type of way because you love the other parent, is disgusting. And you don't have to tolerate it. You have a voice. I didn't have a voice then. I was afraid to use mine. So I acted out in anger in certain other ways. But I was afraid to use my voice and to speak up for me. Because of past abuse, of past trauma. It's just certain people shut themselves in. And I shut the world out. And my way of dealing and coping was to be quiet. Which in turn is very toxic in itself, to be honest. Sometimes shutting everyone out is toxic. And that's my toxic trait that I'm trying to break. And for a parent to take out their hatred and their dislike for the other person on their children is disgusting. And I am divorced and have children, and I would never put them against their father. I would never treat them or look at them a certain way as they're telling me stories about their father. This is their father, a person that they love. Just because you don't love them in that way anymore doesn't mean you have to treat them a certain way because they love that person in that way. It has nothing to do with you. And I think as a whole in our community, we have issues with that. We have a problem with that. Male and female. I'm specifically going to talk about the the female aspect, because I'm a woman, and I see it all the time. When a woman hates their their ex, a person who they've had children with, they take it out on the children, or they speak negatively to their children because of their ex. It's disgusting. It needs to stop. It needs to stop. You're ruining that child emotionally. This is coming from experience. This is a person speaking from experience. I would never think of doing that to my children. Ever. Just because I have issues with, which I don't, but if I had issues with their father, I would never bash them or look at them like they shouldn't be talking to me about their father. What kind of sense does that make? It makes no sense. This is somebody that you chose to have children with. Now you have to deal with everything that comes with it. Take your emotions and your feelings away from that and deal with your children. Help them have a healthy relationship with the person you couldn't have a healthy relationship with. That's your job now. I can go on this subject, which I probably will in a later date, but I'm gonna end it right there because it's a lot I can say, and this video will go on for about another hour or two. But I'll end it there. And for you guys who have experienced that, I'm sorry. And your feelings matter, and your love matters for that other parent. Don't think it ever does. It doesn't. It does. And there I will end it. I am sending every single one of you love and light, and I hope you have a blessed rest of the week, and I'll see you next time.